Are you struggling with Instagram? Maybe it's your content strategy, or maybe your profile is just not optimized, or you actually have no idea what you're doing. And this is what we're gonna take a look at today in another round of Hey Dominic drunkenly reviews your Instagram accounts. I'm not drinking today, by the way, or should we? Actually, just one, just a small one, just for old time's sake. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna review your Instagram profiles to the point where at least one of you will cry and delete it all. And I'm actually not kidding, my friends. I just checked the last time we did this here, not in a live stream, but here in a pre-recorded video, to actually check what you guys have put into practice. By the way, if I check you months later and I see that you've done a good job, I'll actually reward you with some cash. $100 just like that. So be good, kids. Do what I say. Horrible. With that being said, seems like Jordy from the last one, who seemed very promising, in my opinion, he just deleted his profile. He just made it private or something like this. Same with the second account, by the way, Ms. Glenn. Great account, would have loved to see the progress, but this is actually one of the biggest issues why people just don't make it. They give up, and I just hate this. People not getting the metrics that they want, or you're comparing yourself to others, or you just don't want to put in the work to make things work. For example, when I first started out, years upon years ago, I was just a child, a beautiful child, but a child nonetheless. But anyway, when I started to grow my personal brand on Instagram, trying to become an influencer, I lived and breathed it. The whole day, I was just thinking about content creation. My whole mode was just in there, continuing to try to better my content, continuing to try to make this whole thing work for me. With that being said, let's take a look at the first profile. First of all, like always, totally random. Has nothing to do with eventual donations that I might have received. Okay, first of all is UJJ Waljuan Photography. And let's talk about growing a photography account in general. Now, the first thing that I get from you is your username. It's just too much. It's just too long. You know, obviously this is your real name, as I can see there, but still people just get sensory overload. The brain just explodes. How are they gonna search for this in there? So maybe try to shorten your name, your username, spice it up a little bit, like UJW Photography, or just something like this, something short, concise, that people can actually, type into really fast, really quickly. Now let's talk about growing an Instagram as a photographer in general, because there's a lot of questions out there. I always get lots of questions from photographers, and the whole game, in my opinion, has slightly changed from back when Instagram just started out. You could just upload your photos, your pictures, and that would be it. If you had nice pictures, people would follow this, people would get this in their Explore page. And, you just grow a pretty decent following just by posting your work as a photographer. And actually, I kind of started my journey like this. I wanted to make this thing work. I didn't really know what I wanted to do back in the days. If you look at my old posts right there, most of them were made with an iPhone 6. And as you can see, if you look at this right now, this looks just like, what is this? Just another one of those accounts. But back in the day, I was kind of standing out with the way that I did things. Hard to believe right now, but this is just the way it is. However, I still had some element in there that you don't have. Maybe you already see the difference. I sort of had a sub-niche. I sort of had this iPhone 6 photography, something that people could identify with, something that people were like, oh, this is interesting. Where as opposed to you just have photography in general, and this is just too broad of a niche nowadays, with millions of photographers out there seemingly doing the same thing all over again. We take a look at your bio, you have the word nature in your bio, which sort of implies that you want to make nature photography or something like this. But if you take a look, there's portraits, other things, interesting things, but not lots of nature. So, this might confuse people. It just doesn't portray a professional vibe there. It doesn't really deliver on its promise. If people, always think about people, go to your profile for the first time ever. What is your first impression? What do they see? They see nature, and then it's a total mismatch with what they're reading right now. And this is sometimes enough to keep people abandoning your profile and quitting out. And looking at your feed, it kind of is all over the place in terms of sub-niche, in terms of content, photography-related content, which could actually be a good thing in your particular example right now, because right now you could go into your analytics and really just check, are there some photos that were performing better, which got the most reach, which got the most followers. Maybe try to figure out something, why this happened, and then you can double down on a specific sort of subgroup of pictures that you love to make. Looking at it right now, this, for example, first of all, this takes too long to get into it. With that being said, I love this. If you did this, you have a great talent for product photography. With that being said, don't make the reels landscape mode. Try to make native reels. With content like this, wow, you're just gonna blow up if you continue to do this. I love the approach that you have, your creativity right there. Let me just like it, so now you know that you're probably being picked. And maybe this is something that you could get into a little bit more. Also thinking about commercial jobs that you might get in the future from your Instagram profile. I think this has a pretty great potential. And talking about generally as a photographer, if you want to grow your Instagram brand as a photographer, it just doesn't do it anymore if you just post your photography pictures, your work. You know, you gotta show more than that. You first of all gotta show your personality. You know, people love to connect. If I think about photographers that I know, it's Annie Leibovitz, obviously, because of her work, but also because I got to know her in documentaries, got to know her personality. Also, for example, Chase Jarvis, some great photographer, but I got into his work by watching him do this stuff behind the scenes. He has a podcast, he talks about things. You just get to know sort of his personality, get to know his person. And this is what you have to do as a photographer in order to stand out nowadays. You know, it's just the way it is. Another thing, you have to have multiple pillars. For example, Reels right now being the hot trend still, and will probably continue to be a lot longer. For example, one pillar of your content could, maybe even should be, tutorials on how you make these things. If you make a tutorial on how to make these shots, these kinds of videos, actually this is videography, not photography. We'll just leave that out right now. But throwing in the one or the other tutorial, you know, that's on point, you know, like Reels should be, you're definitely gonna get some new eyeballs in, and some eyeballs that are interested in your work as a photographer or videographer. Also, you know, your profile picture, you can't really read that. You don't really see what's going on. The text is too small. So, you know, change this up. Maybe put some nice, either, you know, some work that you did or a nice headshot of you. Also, your bio in general, it needs to be optimized. It needs a little bit more of a professional spice. Because if you go out there and say, well, I'm a photographer, I'm gonna do it, you know, commercially, it has to have the professional vibes right from the beginning. And in a couple of months, maybe you'll get that sweet $100 sent right from me if you haven't deleted your profile. If you've deleted your profile or didn't do what I told you, you owe me $100. And I have some people who are gonna collect that from you. I have your address, so, you know, be a good kid. I Heart Wine. Wine educator sommelier. Making wine easy. Video wine reviews on our website or YouTube channel, iHeartWine.com, to take the stress out of wine buying. Hashtag wine educator, hashtag some. First of all, get rid of the hashtags in your bio. Nobody needs that. But just reading your bio right now, this sort of makes me curious. You know, I'm not a wine person at all, but you're just reading this, I'm like, if there, you know, I'm just telling you my thought process that I have right now. If there was a way for this guy to have some great, short, concise educational format about, you know, buying wine, figuring out the wine that you actually like the most, you know, or how to do some wine tasting, stuff like this, I'd totally be into it, even though I might not be a wine person yet. But it's just some interesting topic for me. Lots of other people probably think the same thing. So let's just hope for the best of you that you have some short, sweet, educational content, especially on Reels. Let me just check over the Reels tab, because the Reels, this is where you should...
You don't need coffee.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Okay, this is sort of funny. Has nothing to do though with you being a wine education. So it's sort of a mismatch. With that being said, you still got more traction than with this. We're gonna take a look at why. You know, I'm not saying this is bad. Content like this is bad every once in a while, especially if you already have some sort of established brand. Totally throw stuff like this in there just to, you know, just to be there. But especially if you're trying to start growing your initial core audience of, you know, wine people, it's not going to help you out that much. So let's just take a look at one of them.
All right, hey guys, how we doing? As I told you, I'm here.
Okay, it just takes way too long to get to the point, right? With Reels, it has to be there. It has to stick in the first second.
ASLA show, trying a little...
Okay, it's seconds in and you still haven't, I still don't know really what's going on, you know? All of this is just fluff, needs to be cut.
URL here, it's 135-year-old wine.
This is what you should start with. 135-year-old wine. We're gonna taste this, blah, blah, blah. With some text in it, obviously. Yeah, it's just way too long stretching content, if you know what I mean. You know, because Reels, TikTok, it's just to the point. It just needs to be there. Let's just take a look at another one.
Hey everybody.
Yeah, another. There's like a dead second right before you even start talking. Again, my friend. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds until you even start to speak. Also, you don't start with hey everybody. You don't start a reel with that. You start with actually delivering some sort of promise. And if you're just talking and doing some stuff, still put in the captions. You know, pop the captions in, some emojis in, because people are they're just lazy. People are just weird nowadays. Just have to tell you how it is. They need to be stimulated, especially when they're consuming short form content like this. I think Gary Vee does it really well when he talks. There's always some text popping in and out of the screen. So generally, taking a look at your content strategy, the core thing is a very interesting thing and a good thing that has loads of potentials to actually blow up, to actually become one of the wine people in the social media sphere. But you just need to get to the point and you just need to get a feel for this TikTok-y real sort of content. So how are you going to do that? You need some inspiration. You need to do competitive research because obviously you have a very niche audience, and you know, looking at the way you approach things right now, you've been doing it for quite some time too. It's probably would take you a lot longer to actually get the feel for the platform. So what we do, and this comes straight from my Reels challenge. So basically for researching Reels, you want to hop over to TikTok because TikTok is just a lot better in terms of their search engine, and you can just search for your topic, search for your niche, and just go from there. And this is what we're gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna do this for you right now, just so you can see the process actually, but I would just go into, you know, start searching wine. Just wine there. First video, 51,000 views. Let's just see what this is. See, they're just entertaining, they're just funny. But yeah, this obviously, if you just put in wine, obviously it seems like it's some very...
That's how we wash our glasses.
He sounds like he's from Austria.
Chilled water from the Austrian Alps.
Yeah. Content like this is sort of the viral, trendy content that you also should have. But also you want to have some educational, evergreenish sort of content. So let's just go in there and put in wine tasting, for example. You know, you obviously know better what your people are looking for. There is similar content, but this one actually seems like what you're looking for.
Certain order, I recommend that you try the wine. White before red, dry before
there
sweet,
you go.
young before old.
Your competitor, your big
body.
competitor, I guess. 500,000 followers. And this is now interesting, how to hold a wine glass, you know, already pre-validated content ideas that you can use to either, you know, create a TikTok as well and go there, but also obviously for Reels, create content like him. Obviously you're totally the opposite of what he is. You are cool, you know. I'm not saying he's not cool, but you have the swag factor. You just have this natural coolness for, you know, that just speaks to people differently than he does, for example. So what you want to do is you take this account, you study this account, you know, try to replicate his videos one by one. And I'm not saying, you know, dress like him, obviously, and stuff like this, but try to figure out a way, what is his hook? What about the text? How long is the text up there? Where is the text? Get accustomed to recording these sort of videos, the cutting process, because that's another beast. And then it's just time to be consistent, you know, hammer out the Reels content, TikTok content. You know, like I said, you can create a TikTok as well. Both of them wouldn't hurt, I guess. But yeah, I see a bright future ahead of you if you're consistent, and I'll see you in a few months, I guess. Okay, the last one, how to fashion 101. Obviously the Reels things that we talked about in the previous segment are applicable to everybody, also you, how to fashion in the first one. But basically, let's just take a look. First of all, your name. I kind of like your name, even though with the underscores, I don't know if that's the best thing. But yeah, your name is actually not really important. And like I said, I like it. How to fashion 101. Pretty good, catchy title, if you ask me. Also, your profile picture, pretty great. You know, good contrast. Very professional, but your bio, helping you maximize your closet. I understand what you try to do with this, but that's just not enough. You know, you need something that speaks to your ideal target audience, that just takes them right there. Call it the wow, this really speaks for me, you know, formula. And this is what you're trying to do, I guess, helping you maximize your closet, but it's just too wishy-washy. Maximize your closet, but for who exactly, you know? Do you have a specific subgroup of people, or a specific style, or a budget, or something like this? You know, and how are you doing it? Are you doing it by recycling your old clothes that anybody has at home, or by, you know, doing cheap shopping, or by doing thrift shopping and stuff like this? There's basically millions of ways to speak to your target audience, and for that you have to do your research, obviously, and for that you have to just position yourself and do what you do best, I guess. Now let's take a look at your Reels right there. Okay, not super bad, actually. Like before, this is good. This is a good one. Let's just check. You know, this is immediately more views than all of the other ones before. Just because right there, it's right there. People arrive at you and they're like, how I style my tank tops. That's exactly what I want. I will stay and watch them. So yeah, you know, try to replicate better performing reels. Try to get a little bit more into the flow of creating reels because it's still not 100% there. But you just get that by practice. This is the most important thing. Now, talking about your regular feeds and stuff like this, you need more traction. You only have 179 followers, which is not so much because I like your content, actually. You know, your content quality, you know, obviously there's still a lot of room for improvement, but, you know, it certainly meets the minimum threshold. And this is another thing what a lot of people don't do. They're like, my content needs to be perfect first. No, just go out there. At one point, it will start to meet the minimum threshold, which is good then. And then you still continue and better yourself continually because content changes all the time, which is another thing that people always forget. They continue creating content like it was still 2017. Now, with that being said, you don't have a lot of traction and we want to change that. We want to get the algorithm to notice you a little bit more and we want to get your target audience to notice you more because I'm sure there is a big target audience out for content like yours. Now, first of all, when did you start? About a year ago. Okay, so yeah, it could have been definitely a lot better in growth than this. But then again, remember, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Never forget that. Now, to fuel the algorithm and to get some more eyeballs on you pretty fast, because like I said, I think your content is there already. You need to find some competitors and hijack their audience. You know, take their audience and make them, you know, shove them your content in front of their faces. And there's a few ways to do that actually. First of all, by identifying your competitors, reaching out to them, doing some collaborations. You know, there's even this new collaboration sticker where you both share the insights for a post. This works well, especially if you have other emerging creators like you. They're more willing to do this. Plus, their audience is usually slightly more invested. But also, you can just find out bigger creators in your niche with, you know, style content and stuff like this, and pay for some shout outs. Yeah, this actually still works pretty well if done correctly. Like I said, your profile, your bio needs to be optimized. You know, 100%. Some of you might ask right now,
but I don't have direct competitors. I'm a unique snowflake, Dominic.
Well, you're not. If you don't have direct competitors, probably you're on the wrong path. You know, there's like a 1% chance that you're actually a unique snowflake. But sometimes, here's the thing, sometimes you find lots of direct competitors, but you just don't get them to reply back or you don't reach an agreement in terms of how much you're going to pay. Which in this case, you want to find some other accounts with an overlapping target audience with the same, roughly the same demographics. For example, the gaming niche and the dating niche, you know, two totally different things if you think about it. They still have a huge overlap of, you know, target audience. So, you know, this is what I tell you to do right now. Find some competitors, find some big accounts, smaller accounts as well, do some collaborations, and also double down on your reels. Maybe, and there's another thing, post a few educational, a little bit more educational carousels, you know, with stuff like this, really interesting, but maybe you can write something on there, make it more visual. Some, you know, especially carousels are very good for tutorials and stuff like this. And I'm sure you're going to find a way. And if you continue to do these things that I told you in a few months, I want to see at least the 1K mark on your profile. And it's definitely more than doable, my friend. And if you guys want to see more of these hands-on strategies and why they work and how they work, here's a video that you need to watch right now, because it might be really interesting.